Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Trust but verify. Were you better off than you were 4 years ago? And as you just saw, Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. Some of the most iconic speeches used by one of the most effective presidents dating back to George Washington, Ronald Reagan. The former California Democrat and movie star turned one of the most conservative presidents of the 21st century, now being honored in a new film appropriately titled Reagan. Jon Voight, Academy Award-winning actor, and Sean McNamara, director of Reagan. Mr. Voight, pleasure to have you back on again, sir. This is a huge movie.
Well, it's thanks to the fellow who's on the other screen with me, Sean McNamara. He was somebody who I think there are not two other people that could have gone through this journey with us, through COVID and through the strike and all the things that interfered with the schedule and performing of this piece. I think Sean did a magnificent job, and everybody else stepped up. So I'm very pleased with the film, and I know people are going to love it.
Yeah, Sean, I mean, look, everybody references on the conservative side Ronald Reagan about how great he was. He did ban automatic weapons, but outside of that, he's a fantastically conservative president. Tell us about how you came up with this, how you got here, and what your take of it is now.
Absolutely. Well, I was handed a script written by Howie Klossner about 6 years ago, and I thought it was terrific because the first thing was I loved Reagan. I voted for him when I was 18 years old. He was the first president I voted for, but it was told from the point of view of a Russian spy, Viktor Petrovic. And so that's what right away I knew Jon Voight had to play that part. And he is just so incredible. I mean, you wouldn't think to tell a story from a Russian point of view, but that's exactly what we do. So it's a brand new perspective that I think makes it kind of fresh and kind of original. And now where we are in the world, we had no intention of releasing this during an election cycle. We shot it in 2020, but with COVID, we got shut down a couple of times. And then we had to go back to Oklahoma where we shot it and do the reshoots. And then we had the actors strike and the writers strike last year. We had a war in the Ukraine where we were doing some of the visual effects shots, and it just morphed into August 30th of 2024. Wow. So now when you watch it, you can't help but think what's going on in the world. There's the assassination attempt alone, unbelievable. The debates, the college campuses. So even when I'm watching the film, it is unbelievable how much it reflects what's going on in society today.
Yeah, no, it's shocking. But John, you know, what's interesting is you obviously played the role of the Russian spy who was telling the story. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Soviets, despite not admitting it, were absolutely terrified of Reagan, no?
Oh, yes, they were. Yeah. Well, see, the fellows who followed him, me representing in the film one of those fellows, that was assigned to look at this man. They kept giving reports back that this guy was standing up against communism, saying an awful lot of things that were concerning to them. And then he became a political force. Gradually, they saw his political talent as well. And they got the reports back in these files that said, this man says what he means and he means what he says. So when he started speaking out, they became really frightened.
Yeah.
And they were right to be frightened because in the end, he found a way to dissolve the Soviet Union.
Yeah. Well, you know, Sean, one of the things that struck me about this is, you know, you really nailed the caricature of nearly every single person. I've only seen previews. I will go see this movie as soon as possible. But you really nailed it down. How were you able to get so closely and so accurately to some of the personalities that people have been written about for decades now?
Well, number one, I got the best actors in the world. Starting with Dennis Quaid, he researched the character. He studied, you know, YouTube's a great source to go back and look at all the old speeches. And it was based on Brian Kingore's book, The Crusader. And everybody did their research. And Dennis there, I mean, we got the costumes right, we got the hair right, but he made a choice so it wouldn't become like an SNL skit. He said, look, you're coming to see Dennis Quaid play Ronald Reagan. So he just used his voice a little bit, like he learned to do the voice a little higher back in the 40s when they were talking about that democracy can handle it. And then he like lowered it when he got into being the governor of California. And then it was the more traditional, well, you know, as president of the United States, which we remember him more for. But we had the actors did such research. Jon Voight had been to Russia. I mean, and he got the character of Victor down so exactly, because these are artists who want the best to inhabit these roles. So we all benefit from that. Same with Penelope Ann Miller. She read Nancy's book and just nailed every moment of it. And we had the best, you know, crew in the nation by putting them in the best costumes, the makeup, and all of that stuff. But it comes down to just really talented actors.
Well, from everything I've seen thus far, it shows. Jon Voight, Sean McNamara, congratulations on this.
Thank you so much, Carl. Thank
right.
you.